Hello and welcome to the Last Word on Spurs. We are, of course, your multi-award winning Tottenham Hotspur podcast. In not just my words, Russ Williams' words that I think he's been messaging me on WhatsApp for the last 18 months, bar Bilbao. It's Groundhog Day. If you're for the first time, you can find us on iTunes, we're on Spotify, we're across all major audio platforms. And we're here as Man United beat Tottenham for the first time since October 2022. Spurs' 4-game unbeaten run comes to an end, but they're still in search of their first domestic win in 2026. And we're now in February. Like I say, thank you so much for joining us. If you are always for the first time, you can find us on iTunes, we're on Spotify, we're across all major audio platforms. We're joined by Broadcaster Russ Williams. We're joined by Marlon over at the Spurs Kings, and we're joined by Vass over at the Dr. Tottenham podcast. Oh my God, don't we need a Tottenham doctor right now in the house? Like I say, if you can for us, guys, another powerful show we're bringing you here. If you can like, hype, subscribe to the show, that would be greatly appreciated for those that want to get interactive with the show. Of course, you can. If you hit that subscribe button, that allows you in to the interactive chat. We're going to be taking a lot of listener questions that have come through following the full-time whistle upon that defeat at Manchester United. Before I bring in these wonderful gentlemen, let's take you through the match facts and the stats. It finished Man United 2, Tottenham Hotspur 0. Look, before we come on to the stats there, I think many would suggest, and having watched that game, reviewed the game, Romero's red card ruined Frank's game plan, as well as Spurs played in the opening half an hour and were arguably the better team. That definitely swung the momentum of the game. Tottenham Hotspur head coach Thomas Frank sacrificing Wilson Odobert straight after the red card. Some feeling that is the wrong decision. Some maybe feeling that on the game itself was that the turning point by sacrificing Wilson Odobert. We'll come on to that and more. Those match facts and stats to bring you. Man United, 23 shots to Tottenham's 7 during the game. Man United, 10 shots on targets to Tottenham's 1. Tottenham creating just the one big chance during the game. That was in the early stages. Conor Gallagher having that chance to Man United's 3. Touches in the opposition box. Man United, 37 to Tottenham 17. Vicario, of course, you would have expected the busier of the two goalkeepers. 8 saves to Lamon's 1. Tottenham, of course, busy as well in terms of the clearances. 30 to Man United's 11. Spurs recording 0 corners during the game to Manchester United 7. They also dominated the possession, 65% to Tottenham's 35%. XG Manchester United 2.12 to Tottenham's 0.55. And I believe that's a 13th time this season alone, or maybe a 14th time that Tottenham have recorded an XG lower than 1 this season. And this is, for those out there that are interested, this is the third time in the last 13 months that Tottenham have gone 7 Premier League games without a win. And it hadn't happened 16 years prior to this. And another remarkable stat for you out there, in the last 14 months, since December 16, 2024, Tottenham have won more matches in European football, 12 from 21 games, as they have in the Premier League, 11 from 47. What that means for the Premier League table is, as things stand after Tottenham Hotspur failing to pick up any points at Old Trafford, Spurs are now just 6 points above the relegation zone. And of course, this follows a window that was shut, where, let's be honest about it, Tottenham have come out of the window weaker than when they went into it. So again, massive, you'd say, conversations around the lack of volume or frequency of bringing the players through the door. And there'll be many asking in the upcoming fixtures, are Tottenham genuinely in a relegation battle? We'll be coming on to what that means for Tottenham, what that means for Thomas Frank. And of course, it's been a week dominated around the headlines of Cristian Romero. Obviously, his strong words after that window had shut about the fact it was disgraceful about the number of players that are unavailable. Romero is now missing the next 4 matches for Tottenham. We're going to bring Vass in to start the show, our guest on here. Vass, lovely to be back. Thank you ever so much for joining us as always. We're going to take a lot of questions from our listeners, but just to really open, if we can, defeat for Thomas Frank and for Tottenham after that 4-game unbeaten run, despite the fact, look, again, we've not had a win in 2026, but the Romero red card early did kill Spurs. You felt we needed a commanding performance from the Argentine, given he's the captain, he's the leader. You had fans that were singing in the early stages of that game, Romero's right. the ball, the shite. But 20 minutes later, we're all shaking our heads in disbelief by the challenge. I know some are questioning it, but before we get into that, Vass, thoughts on the game for you? I'd love to.
All right, Ricky. I thought we started the game quite well. I mean, Man United had the first few minutes, but then we grew into the game. We controlled it for a long period as well in that first initial quarter of the game, without obviously creating too much. But it seemed as though we were up to compete against them, and I thought we were competing against them. Only the one big chance, as you said, from Conor Gallagher at that point. But I liked what I saw in the midfield from Sarr and from Simons, who was lively. Solanke was dangerous in as far as his movement up front. He was making life uncomfortable for their defenders. And I thought that, actually, you remember there was that one chance when Udogie crossed it in the area and then Solanke went flying. To me, that actually looked like a good shout for a penalty, but nobody even mentioned it in the commentary. So we were certainly in this game. And okay, Man United had a few shots from range. I think Vicario pulled off a save, but it was certainly an even game. And even the commentators that were on the match that were saying so. It was an entertaining game so far. Cristian Romero, though, I mean, all the love that he won off the Spurs fans in the week with that message, cryptic message on his Instagram.
Yep.
He just lost it all today because the game turned on that challenge without any shadow of a doubt. He's been jumping into challenges like that all season, really. And I think it's born out of frustration of being in a poorly performing league team for the past 2 years. Maybe he's unhappy with Frank's tactics, especially in the early part of the season and up until recently. And today he didn't get away with it. Michael Oliver was very quick to pull that red card out, almost couldn't wait. I think, I know this sounds like, it's me with my Tottenham glasses on, but I'm pretty certain that if it was a red shirt making that challenge, the card had been yellow.
It's interesting.
Yeah, rightly or wrongly,
suggesting it's debatable.
I'm not saying that Romero didn't deserve it.
No,
but I could almost guarantee that it would have been a yellow card. In actual fact, there was a worse tackle in the Arsenal-Sunderland game.
Yep.
Where it wasn't given a card, a red card, or I'm not sure what happened, but it certainly didn't get a red card, and it was even worse challenge. And I think Romero's a bit of a victim of his own reputation, really. And cost us the game. After that, what could you do? You're trying to hold on. They took the lead. I mean, if we could defend it for a 0-0, that's fine. But we let them take the lead with a soft goal.
Yep.
And that's been our problem, letting in soft goals. Even the performances recently where we had, draws against Burnley and West Ham and a late loss to Bournemouth. In all of those games, at some point we had the momentum to go on and snatch the points. But we let in stupid soft goals. And the record is the record now. You can see we've not picked up enough points. And no. I'm as frustrated as anybody. But, you can't go into games conceding soft goals. And then, we're 1-0 down with 10 men and you can't even play for a draw now. You have to try and find a way to equalise. And that just was never going to happen once Romero went off, sadly.
Totally agree. Look, Russ, I'm going to bring you in, and it's going to be a statement and also a question on the back of that, if you don't mind, Russ. I'd love to have you back on the show as always. I feel like it's been a difficult last 18 months, mate. I know, like I say, we all want to be sitting here talking about happier times, and we most certainly do. But look, like Russ said there, Vass said there, God, it's already a long show. We're only 10 minutes in? It already feels like that. The red card, that it made it tricky against what we knew was an informed United side coming right. They're on the back of 3 wins on the bounce.
Yeah.
And the stamina around Romero, since he's made his Spurs debut in August 2021, he's been set off more times in all competitions 6 than any other player. He saved Spurs on multiple occasions this season, but maybe it is time to accept that maybe he's more of a villain than a hero, because, like I think Vass rightly pointed out there, it's not been only once or twice this season we've seen him recklessly jump into tackles and also, to some degree as well, charging out upfield. And that normally gives you an indication that he isn't happy with the tactics being deployed or just simply isn't bought in. Give me your thoughts on that Russ, and then I'm going to follow up with a question to you on the back of that. Thoughts on the overall game to start with?
Well, I agree with Vass that if it was a United defender, it would have been a yellow. But reputations go before you, and Cristian Romero averages for Tottenham a red card every 25 games. 2 this season. That's why he's got a 4-game ban, including starting next week with Newcastle, obviously the Arsenal game, Fulham and Crystal Palace. I mean, I did think that it was one of his rash challenges, and, you know, it looked like a red. And, you know, Vass and yourself and Marlon, when we were talking, and loads of the people commenting, I think accept that it was the sending off that really put us in a good degree of trouble. And I did think that the manager, and I know we're going to hear from him later, saying how proud he was of the players after yet another loss was quite bizarre from Thomas Frank. But he's not going to get blamed for this tonight. His record is dreadful in the Premier League, but he's not going to get blamed, I don't think, by most right-thinking people, because he cannot do anything about his captain and one of the best players that he's got available to him getting a red card at Manchester United after half an hour, when, as Vass said, you know, we made a reasonable start. And I found it quite interesting to compare Xavi Simons and Bruno Fernandes, how they were both playing in that same pretty much position. And I think the difference was, even in that first half an hour, Bruno had a couple of shots on goal, is the quality of the midfield players at Manchester United are actually better than our midfield players. And this is a problem that we've got with the squad. But far more concerning for me is the culture of losing that now exists at this football club. Last season and this season, it just is a losing culture. And
just on that point, Russ, let you come back in. King Hunter, a regular viewer listener, says here, Russ, 44 losses in our last 91 league games, near on half. How concerning is that, Russ, that we've almost now normalised losing?
Well, it's a culture of losing, like I've just said. And for some reason, once you get in a downward spiral, human minds being exactly what they are, I think it's really, really difficult to get yourself out of that spiral. And I do not think that Thomas Frank is an inspiring manager at all. I think he's a very nice man. I think he is predominantly quite a defensive and sort of pragmatic, negative sort of coach. We've seen that from substitutions that have raised eyebrows in games that we've either drawn or lost in previous weeks and months. But last season, we were in the position where the club actively took the position, forget about the Premier League, we're going to go for the Europa League, and thank goodness it worked. You know, dreadful final, but we got over the line. Brennan Johnson's goal, we got some silverware, fantastic. We were all elated. This season, it feels like they've done it again, but with the Champions League, which with the greatest will in the world is an absolute joke if they have. But I don't think they have. I actually do not think that there's any people at the club really who know what they're doing. I'm sorry to say. I mean, I watched Johan Langer's video after the transfer window closed. Really? You know, Vinay comes out.
Word salad. It was a word salad, wasn't it? Word salad.
Exactly. But I'll cut to the chase, because I'm just really fed up with losing all the time. I accept when you play football, you win games, you draw games that you should win, and you lose games that you should win, and sometimes you get gubbed, and that's part of being a football fan. But this podcast tonight, Rick, I think it's a bit like an emergency board meeting. We're all emotional shareholders in this football club, but things are very, very serious. But I'm confident now. I've seen enough that at the end of the season, I think Thomas Frank will go. I think Vinay will go. And I'm pretty sure that Johan Langer will go as well. And some serious surgery has got to be done on this football club, mentally and literally, with the way that we're coaching the players. And I'm just, you know, we were talking before we came on, Rick, and you know, about the summer transfer window. I can't even remotely get excited about it, not because I'm negative. I'm not. I'm generally an optimistic, kind of happy bloke.
We know you
no European football
Yeah.
What big players are going to want to come and play for us? I mean, this spiral is just going downwards and downwards and downwards. And I just cannot see, along with a lot of the fans who've been commenting, how we get out of this. And, you know, we must not give up. But, boy, it's going to be a lot harder than I think any of us thought. It's an absolute mess. And forget the first half an hour. The brutal truth is another game we lost. That's it. We lost today.
Reality. It's another loss.
It's a reality.
Yeah. And again, I will repeat that point. We have not won a game in 2026 domestically. And it's a worry. You look at Tottenham's form in general. We've read that stat there in terms of normalising losing. And the reality is that our form in general, you know, is not good enough for a club of Tottenham's heritage and stature. I mean, right now, like I say, some will be concerned if we're in a relegation battle. We will come on to that because West Ham have gained points on us over this weekend. And the fact we're even talking in the second season in a row about the word relegation tells you there is something fundamentally not right within the football club. Before we come on to that and more, and I want to bring in some of the questions that we had from our viewers and listeners. Again, thank you ever so much, because there's already over 4,500, 5,000 that are with us here right now. I know there'll be thousands again on the playbacks. We really appreciate all the support for the show. But Miles, I do want to come to you just to get your initial take on the game, and when we are going to go into the wider issues. Look, just on Romero, and I think, you know, Russ and Vass have said they feel he's been unfortunate in the sending off. For me, I'm a little bit different to those guys. I love and respect, obviously, their opinions, but I just think the minute you go in to make a tackle like that, like Vass has said there, partly he's whether it's the outside.
Sorry, Rick. Can I just say I don't think he was undeserved. I think he deserved a red.
Me neither. I said it was a red.
You said it was really...
but I think what it is that I fear that had it been a different team, a Man U, a Liverpool, or whoever, I doubt they would have seen red for that. That's all I was saying. Yeah.
Fine. Okay. Well, apologies, guys. I think what I was just trying to make a point. I think regardless if it was a Tottenham player, a Man United player, a Liverpool player, an Arsenal player, a Chelsea player, I think the minute you go in with that nature of whether it's false or whether it's a follow through, you're putting yourself in trouble. And I think his reputation will always precede that. And he's giving the referee very little choice to make at a ground where I'm sure you guys will know, Old Trafford. It doesn't take much for a referee to get their cards out. And to be honest with you, Michael, I couldn't wait to get his card out to send him off. But Marlon, I want to come to you because, look, Romero has scored some vital goals, you would feel, for Spurs this season. But at the same time, on the back of a week where the headlines have been all about Cristian Romero and the fact of his statements around the lack of availability of other players, the reality is he's cost Spurs in this game. And like Vass has said, in the first half an hour, we were well in this game. People know I'm not Thomas Frank's biggest fan. If I could sit here and say that first half hour was on Thomas Frank, then I'd be doing him a disservice to some degree, because I think Spurs were doing okay in that first half an hour. I think we had the momentum. I think we were the better team. But the minute we make that decision, or Romero makes that decision, it changes the course of the game. The one thing I would question is whether it was right to sacrifice Wilson Odobert at that time, because what message does that send out to the team? Again, you might argue, what other options does he have? He wants to conserve maybe the fact that we are still in the game. He wants to bring on another defender. But did it have to be Wilson Odobert that came off? We'll come on to that more, Marlon, but for you, thoughts on the overall game itself?
Look, the game itself, you have to kind of take... I'm going to take that first half an hour first. And for the first 5 minutes, we looked a bit shaky. And then we suddenly grew into the game. And then we were actually looking quite... not decent, but actually on a level playing field with Man United a little bit, as in considering they were on way better form and we just looked like we were a bit more comfortable. We didn't look like we're going to go out and then get beat. I think the Romero tackle from earlier on, I kind of went, something's going to happen here. And conspiracy theory that I am, Michael Oliver, who we got on Tuesday, Newcastle, knows who our best player is, wants him out of the game. That's in my head going through, but I know that's not completely true. But what Vass said is completely true about as soon as that was Romero, Michael Oliver had that red card in his hand. He didn't have to think about it. He knew what he was doing. For me, it is a sending off. It is always a sending off all day. And I've seen a lot of people go on about, this is where Vass and Russ got the opinion from about if it was red, is because obviously Dallo had done this 2 weeks ago against Man City, and everyone has said he should have been off. It was a mistake. So they were, at the end of the day, this is why Man United are probably, everyone's sitting there going, okay, Man United have got away with 1-2 weeks ago. They should have got, we should have got away with it today. But no, it doesn't work like that. It literally is, it killed the game. It literally killed the game for us. Everything that Frank had planned, whether we think it was a plan or not, or no matter what we think of Frank, everything just went out the window. And if I'm being honest, I thought we were going to collapse. I thought we were literally going to collapse after that moment. Yes, we needed to regroup a little bit. And the corner was poor. The corner we conceded was very, very poor in my eyes. Okay, because it doesn't matter if you got 10 or 11. It just kind of looked, it was all in slow motion. And I think that's what's kind of killed me a little bit. But fair play to them. Up until Man United scored their second, I was very surprised that we stayed in the game. I'm not going to lie. I sat there and I thought, hold on, we're actually trying. We're trying to put some passes together. There was a lot of effort. But as what we've all said this season, a lot of these players are not good enough. This is the reason why we're moaning about we needed signings, we needed this, we needed that. And the game itself, look, Frank's not going to get blamed for this. He won't get the blame for most of this because Romero has basically dug himself into a hole today, because what Romero has done, his statement that he's come out with and blaming the board and whatnot, everyone who has spoken against Romero this week will sit there and go, well, look, comes to the first game after, you've let your team down. And that literally is the last thing us fans kind of needed to go forward with, that he's now going to let us down. And he's now going to be missing for 4 games. He's already missed 2 games this season for suspension, and he's missed 2 games for injury, right? So that's 8 games that he's going to miss out of the 38-game season that we need him for.
Yep.
And Romero's he's our club captain. That's not what the club
leadership, is it? It's not leadership.
Yeah. It's not leadership. And look, no. I think Romero's a great player, but I always say this, when he's frustrated with the team and the club, he ends up doing things like this. And if you look at every sending off that he's had, there's a frustration at that moment, especially with us Spurs fans. You can always see there's a frustration with us when he goes into those games. Then he ends up causing himself a sending off. But it's a really hard look for me today. It was when I knew I was going to be on it. It was a really hard game for me to sum up, because as soon as that sending off happened, that's the one thing that we're all going to be talking about. It just literally changed everything. And and I couldn't really think of. I thought they actually played okay. Like all of them, they actually did play okay in that game. It was never going to be good enough against the team that is. Let's be real. Beat first and second in the last couple of weeks. Scored a last-minute winner against, was it Fulham last week? They've had a week off. They're refreshed. They've got this new manager bounce as well with Carrick at the moment, and it was always going to be. And it's Old Trafford. I know we've been done well in the last couple of years there, but it was just one of those moments where you just kind of went, oh, "Here we go again." But look, I don't really for me today, I'm not frustrated. I'm probably more frustrated at Romero, but I'm not as unhappy as I was with the whole gameplay as I have been in the last few weeks.
Yeah.
I just saw today as I thought we were going to get beat anyway weeks ago. I think we've all said we all thought this was not going to be the game for us. For me, it's all about Tuesday and how we come out for that. And it's going to be interesting now that Dragushin is actually going to get a chance in the team as well, because he's another one that just needs a run of games for me to see how he can cope with it. But yeah, for Romero to come out with that statement saying we need help, getting sending off is the last thing you need to do when you've just said we need help.
Well, just on Romero, let's have a few questions on him if we can. And Vass, will come back round to you. Look, there's that stat game that everyone knows about. Romero has received 4 red cards in the Premier League, the joint most red cards for a Spurs player in the competition's history, alongside Yunus Kabul. This is from ross14@gmail.com, who says, for all the talk what Romero has said throughout the course of the week, to have done what he's done in that game has simply made his position untenable at Tottenham. Do you agree with that, Vass? Where are you on that situation around Romero? Does this one game do further damage to what people would perceive his long-term future at Tottenham? And we'll get you to unmute from your side, Vass.
Sorry. I think with Romero, for me, he's a really good player and he's a winner. He might not be the best leader. Maybe leadership isn't his thing. Clearly, if it was, he wouldn't have done what he did today. But I was happy when he signed a new contract and committed to Spurs. and I'd rather see him in the side than not in the side, because I feel that he makes us a better team. And he's been quite good, not just in defence, but his help in the build-up play. And he's been instrumental in our goal scoring recently, whether it's with goals or assists. A brace at Newcastle, for example. There's been other goals recently that I can't really call to mind straight away. So for me, he's a very good player. However, today I'm thinking maybe it's the time that we move him on in the summer, get some good money for him. I don't think he'd be too unhappy with going back to Spain or wherever. And we've got this young kid Vuskovic who's like pulling up trees in Germany. Maybe bring him in. Obviously, go back into the market if we need to. We definitely need to. We need another left-sided centre-back as well as maybe a right-back. It's unfortunate that Danso's out as well, because I think Danso's been a good deputy whenever we've needed him. But I think there's massive question marks today after this from Romero, and it's the fact that he misses. It's not so much the action that is the problem; it's the consequence of that action. He now misses 4 games.
Spot on.
4 critical games at a time when we were sort of trying to find a bit of momentum.
Agreed.
I know the results haven't been there, but I think we've been improving a little bit. That comeback against Man City, you would be lying as a Spurs fan to not say that you were enthused by that comeback last weekend. And so today was an opportunity to build on that. We had Van der Ven coming back in the side. It was felt a little bit stronger. And we thought we'd build on that today. And Cristian Romero, after half an hour, did something stupid. And essentially, as Marlon said, he just killed the game. It was just, the game was over at that point, sadly. And it's the consequences of his actions that are the bigger problem now.
Yeah, just on Romero, and just to come over to you, Russ, Stevie18 at hotmail.co.uk has come in and he said, if you go by Romero's red cards by season, 21-22, 0 red cards, 22-23, 1 red card, 23-24, 1 red card, 24-25, 0 red cards, this 25 season, 2 red cards. To be fair to Romero, up until this season, his record was in line with most centre-backs. It feels that his discipline has dipped and declined this year, given his frustration around his teammates and who he's being managed by. Do you agree with that, Russ, with that question that's come in there from Steve?
Well, I think Stevie has come up with interesting stats. I just think he's a hothead. He's a Latin hothead footballer. We've seen him before. We'll see them again. And, he's a World Cup winner. So to him, he has a lot of kudos. And so he should. I think distribution of the ball, his ability to score goals, our central defenders still remain this season our top scorers. You can't fault him really for that. The defending that he does, I think we can fault him on that quite a lot. But this season, to have 2 red cards as your captain, and in tandem with what he said, for example, earlier this week or a few days ago, I do think the fan base, surprise, is split. Some people say we got to keep him. He's one of our better players, and this is what he does. He did deserve a red, but there you go. And quite a lot of the comments I see and the people I talk to just say, do you know what? Don't think his heart's in it. He's not concentrating, and we should cash in and get rid and get Vuskovic back, who quite rightly, as Vass pointed out, is tearing it up overseas. Kevin Danso has been, as Vass said, a really good, deputy. Mickey van der Ven, well, only a week and a bit ago, it was him going, he's going to be off in the summer, so to keep him would be quite an achievement. Overall, I probably would keep him at the club personally, but I understand and totally appreciate that a lot of people would.
It's a tricky one. Just last one on Romero. It's from Jonathan Waite, 14. We've got here on X. If I come around to you, Miles, he says on Romero that it will be a third suspension of the season for Cristian. And as we know, it's a 4-game ban for him. He does a lot of good things on the pitch, but as a captain, I still feel he needs to keep his head. And he said it's worth pointing out, if anyone hasn't already, that it's 6 red cards during his time at Spurs, and no other player has been sent off more during that period. It's all very well if you're going to talk out and say what you're going to say, but you've got to back up your actions on the pitch as to why you're vital for your football club. What do you make of that, Marlon? Is that a fair question there, or fair statement?
Yeah, it has been. And look, and the reason why that statement's come out, if you look at someone like Sergio Ramos, who was the king of red cards, but he made sure that he was Real Madrid's kingpin. He knew we didn't want to turn up for big games. He was the captain, and that's why we're looking at Romero going, if you're going to do needless things like this or try and be clever, you've got to make sure that actually when you're doing these things, they're at the right time, right places, right moments, and you are there for big games. Now, yes, he was there for the Europa League last year, the Europa League run, and that's how important he can be. But at this present moment, why Tottenham is crashing and burning around us all, I think we're all going to look at this and go, this is just like the wrong time when we are, 6 points now off of West Ham.
Yeah.
And we are starting to look behind us, then in front of us.
Definitely are. We definitely are now. We have to say that we are. Yeah.
We're looking at the next 2 games going, where are we going to pick up points?
Yep.
We're hoping that obviously that Crystal Palace and Leeds and Forest, at least with Palace and Forest, at least they're keeping up with our form at the moment. That's the only thing saving us.
It's ridiculous, isn't it? Yeah, you're right.
That's where we're at. So, and when we're looking at someone like Cristian Romero, we're like, we've given you the captaincy. We expect you to be a leader, and look, he has been sometimes, because you've got to go back to a couple of weeks ago when he scored the equaliser against Burnley. That is a captain's role. And as Vass said, when he scored the equaliser against Newcastle as well, captain's role. But then he goes and does Liverpool. Okay. And you're like, what are you doing? Like in a big game. And then he goes and does it today. We're not, against these better sides, we can't be, he can't be getting sent off in situations like this. And that's our biggest problem at the moment. But the problem is he's still one of our best players. And the thing is, we're all saying, sell him, get rid of him, do this. But everyone just saw the January transfer window and everyone just saw the summer transfer window. You know full well you're not going to get nobody or
as good as him.
Or a less likely replacement, because that's the problem we're going to have. And like with Vuskovic, the problem we've got now, a massive problem we've got now, is Bayern Munich are sniffing around him. And how long, if he keeps tearing it up in Germany, it won't be just Bayern Munich after him. There'll be Real Madrid's and other big clubs coming in for him, and possibly bigger clubs here. And he's going to sit there and go, do I want to join that mess, go back to that mess?
Yeah.
Or do I take the step now why I'm getting bigger and better? So at the moment, and Van der Ven wants out.
Yeah.
If we're all looking at Van der Ven's performances and what he's been saying, he looks like he wants out too. He wants the bigger move. So we're stuck at this moment because we can get rid of Romero, but where do we go from Romero? Yeah.
I just want to go to Russ before we do go for our first break and hear from the manager, Thomas Frank, and what it means for his future and why people feel we are on Thomas. But before I do, Russ, this is coming from, forgive me, Alan45 on, Alan45678 on X. He said, we've had players fighting with fans. We've had players fighting with the board, players ignoring the head coach. We've got the manager calling out the fans. You've got the board gaslighting the fans. We're in complete, utter freefall. There seems to be no leadership at this club, and it has all the makings of something unthinkable that's going to happen. I mean, you were commenting there in the early period of the show, Russ, around Vinay's position, Johan Lang's position. We're going to come on to the second half of the show, but you mentioned you sound very genuinely concerned about the future when this football club is going like us all. And there's, a lot of Spurs fans that are watching this show live. There'll be a lot watching on the playback. Is it the lowest you've known it, Russ, in modern history about how low things are at the moment? Just general feeling around the club?
Well, first and foremost, I reckon that Alan made great points there. That anyone who's sensible, I think, would probably agree with it. I mean, we're just watching a succession of sort of cock-ups, self-inflicted, and it's unbelievable, really. Do I think that we'll get relegated? Well, you never say never. I do think it's highly unlikely. But to even be down in the lower reaches of the Premier League for the second successive season is a perfect demonstration of this, this culture of losing that this club is in. And the Champions League has been a little bit better, but then you could argue that the quality of the teams, as we all know, is perhaps not as good as top teams in the Premier League or most teams in the Premier League. The next stage of the Champions League, of course, we're going to start coming up against considerably better teams. So we'll see what happens. I mean, it would be bizarre if we won the Champions League somehow. But I don't think we're going to do a European Leicester, I'm afraid, as much as I'd love us to. But there are, an awful lot of people who are now very, very worried amongst our fan base that this is just a downward spiral, that the pace is quickening up and, we could get relegated. And I think a lot of them would think if that happened, it's nothing more than the owners and the board deserve in the way that they've run this football club over the last few years. In fact, a considerable amount of years. And I think there was a feeling, when Daniel Levy went, things are going to get better now. Well, be careful what we wish for, really, because whilst I'm not saying that Daniel should still be there, I think it's actually getting a little bit worse because it's rudderless behind the scenes now. And that is, the real worry, I think, for all of us. But Alan, I think, made great points about all the things that have gone wrong and some of which were preventable, but did happen. And I think he's made some great points.
Russ, thank you so much. Look, we're going to go for our first break of the show for our listeners and audio. We're going to hear from head coach Thomas Frank, and after that, we'll be discussing what it means for his future. Our Spurs generally in a relegation battle. We'll hear from Marlon and Vass on that. And again, I already say thanks so much to the over nearly 7,500, 8,000 that are with us during this show live. And we're going to go for that first break if you can for us. Look, we say it will be a powerful show in store. If you can like, hype, subscribe to the show, that would be greatly appreciated. Let's hear from Tottenham Hotspur head coach Thomas Frank on what he made from that display at Old Trafford.
First, I think we started the 30 minutes well. I think it was a good away performance, very even against a Man United team in flow and playing with confidence. So happy with that. Of course, the red card changed the momentum. Very proud of the players in general, but proud of them the last 60 plus whatever 10 injury minutes. How they show resilience, stayed in the game, didn't crumble, kept fighting, and still created some moments where we could, maybe have created that goal. And then, of course, it's when we then did the three positive subs with 15-20 minutes to go, he scored straight after. The red card is a red card. I watched it now back 5 times. Kuti clearly tried to go for the ball. Unfortunately, just moved before, and then there's a red card.
Problem for him, obviously. I think this is his 4th suspension this season. 4 games for the losing for as well. How do you kind of take any recklessness out of this game while keeping the aggression?
I think it's if you look at how many red cards he has had, it's not like he had that many throughout his career. And you play with passion and you play with aggression, and there's a fine line when you do that.
He's got the most in the Premier League since he arrived.
At the club, yeah, but not in Premier League.
Of Premier League players, I think.
Of Premier League players. Okay, I didn't know that. Yeah.
Can I ask just about Destiny Udogie? Any word on what that is? Is it hamstring?
We will assess him tomorrow. So, of course, I will probably see you guys in, 2 days' time or less. Then we'll know more. We'll assess him tomorrow.
Thomas, Cristian's red card obviously comes a few days after what happened after the transfer window. Is there any regret in making him captain?
No, it's not. And also, he was also sorry for the incident. He said, apologized to his teammates in the changing room. No, I think he's one of our most important players, and I think when he performed top, he's driving the team.
At the back, please.
Just on this, he's not helping the team at the moment. He gets sent off in 28 minutes at Old Trafford. The greatest respect, not helping the team's not helping you, especially with some of the disgraceful comments. It's his second red card, I think, in 10 games for you. Just for the team's sake, and actually for the players' sake, might it be better if you've got to make him captain just to sort of take that focus and let someone else who maybe keep a bit calmer where they are back?
I think it's fair to say I don't think I have any intention to get a red card after 28 minutes. So what? Sorry.
Maybe that makes it worse if he doesn't know what he's doing.
I think that's your perception. Yeah.
So you're not going to consider at least maybe taking the armband from him?
No.
Jake. Hi, Thomas. Just with red cards, injuries piling up, etc. How do you sort of keep the team motivated and tell them that the corner is going to turn eventually?
Yeah, I think what I'm very happy with the players and what they're showing. I think they actually show a lot of resilience, because it's very, very tough to get out there every week and don't get enough of the good results. But I think of course we can't run away from that. We haven't won enough in the Premier League. We're just coming on the back end of 4 good games where we also showed a lot of resilience. Before that, we also did it, but we didn't get enough of the results where we turned it around second half. So I think there's still a lot to hang the hat on in terms of resilience. But of course, the performances need to be backed up with a little bit, do more, and get a little, keep doing the right things, because then results will turn.
I know you sometimes speak about you need to get sugar at the end of the hard work. So do you and the players still see enough sugar to keep going?
I think there's no other alternative than keep going. I think that's fair to say, which we will do, of course. But of course, is in life and football, there's very tough times, and then in the very tough times, there's head on, head down, stand up, face it, keep going. There's no other way, and that's what the players are doing, and I think they show it every single week. And the good thing is, I think actually, as I said, there was just Dortmund and Frankfurt, 2 good performances result. Second half very good against City. There was more good than positive against Burnley. I know we want to win it. I think the resilience the players showed today, in terms of where it's so easy to crumple, so easy to go out there and lose 5-0. I just stayed in the game throughout, had a chance to come back into it. So I think they show a lot.
Simon, final one, please. Thomas, you're having to sit here and defend Cristian, which you have. What has he said to you? I know you said he's apologised, but like in that moment, he's supposed to be leading. What has he said to you? Because he's let you down.
We hasn't spoken specific about the situation, because he apologized to the players, and there's to us, to the players, to the team in there. And that's enough for me for now. Then there's how can you say, that's it? Nothing more to do now.
Okay. So he can't play for you now in the league until the middle of March. Given the number of absentees you've got, that is not helping the situation at all, is it?
Nope. Doesn't.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
So that was Thomas Frank there on the back of Spurs being beaten by Man United up at Old Trafford. Thanks to the over nearly 10,500 that are watching us live. As always, guys, we greatly appreciate your support for the show. If you can, like, hype, subscribe. That would be greatly appreciated. We're joined by broadcaster Russ Williams. We're joined by Marlon back over at the Spurs Kings. Everyone always says to me, Marlon looks a lot on the show like how we all feel. I should laugh, but Marlon does always give off that vibe of just he looks how we all feel. And we're joined by Vass over at the Tottenham podcast. God, I really need a doctor at the moment. I got to give that joke up, haven't I, Vass? This is not getting laughed anymore, is it? Vass, I want to open back with you if I can. We've just heard from Thomas Frank there. He was asked whether he's considering stripping Cristian Romero of the captaincy due to his poor discipline this season. Frank insisted that he has no intention to strip Romero of the captaincy and that he has no regrets whatsoever over naming him the captain. Now, as things stand with Spurs at the moment, with Frank at the helm, look, we've not yet won a game in 2026 domestically. We were going into this game, as many know, on the back of course, 4 games unbeaten. But it just feels, in terms of the fact we've won 2 in the last 16, only 1 in the last 10 Premier League matches, and we've faced 5 sides in the bottom half of the table during that period. I think we all widely agree this game wasn't on him personally. But where does this kind of leave his position right now, Vass? You said it was in the green room there. I don't want to speak for you, but you kind of seem to suggest that you still think he'll be here come the end of the season. Is that still your vibe for you, Vass, barring a catastrophe?
Yeah, I think he will be here till the end of the season. I don't see that the board will make any. If the board were going to make this decision, they would have done it by now. And the fact that he's still here, I think he will be here at the end of the season. I know we haven't picked up the points that we needed to pick up. And some of our performances earlier in this season under Frank were absolutely shocking. I wanted him gone as much as anybody. You know, the games against Arsenal, against Chelsea, XGs of 0.01 and all this and that. I was looking for a post I saw the other day, actually. Somebody put up the XG of all the teams that we've played twice this season so far.
Okay.
And in terms of XG in those games, we are above all of our opponents. However, we haven't picked up the points. So there's an issue there. Similarly, we can't deny that in recent games, we've seen Xavi Simons being talked about differently as being a key contributor for us. We're seeing Gallagher find his feet in that midfield. Solanke's come back and been a dominant presence at the top end of the pitch. So regardless of what we think about Frank and whether we want him gone, as most of us do, I still feel there's no denying that some things have started to take shape and improve. It's unfortunate now that he's lost Dan, so looks like we're going to lose Udogie.
Agreed.
Spence has, you know, so that's our back line being decimated. Today we played an 18-year-old kid from Brazil in his first ever game for Spurs away at Old Trafford when we're down to 10 men. That's not an ideal scenario in which to make your.
I thought it looked good. I think it looked all right. You done okay? Yeah.
Well, okay, yeah. So maybe that's something for the future. All I'm trying to say is that there have been glimpses, there have been signs, and I do believe that we should have taken more points out of our last 4 or 5 games than we actually did.
Yep.
Now, that's not to say that Frank has been a great manager. I think he's been a subpar manager so far this season. But back to your point, I can't see him being shifted before the end of the season, quite frankly, because I don't think the board know what they're going to do next. And that is another issue in itself. So, this is a big problem. We just have to try and hope that those signs that we've seen in recent games continue. And Tuesday night is going to be critical. That is now a must-win game against Newcastle, who have also lost at home tonight, coincidentally to his former club, Frank's former club. So Tuesday night is critical. We've got to win that game. And I think if we do win that game, then hopefully things will seem a lot rosier.
And just one final run, Vass, with you before I go to Marlon and Russ on this situation. Vass, are we in, although listen, I'll make this clear, we are in relegation form by the fact it's 2 wins in the last 16 and only 1 win in the last 10 Premier League matches. But are we a relegation candidate in your mind, or are you not that concerned right now when I'm bringing up, for example, listeners on audio, looking at the respective fixtures for other clubs, by the fact we're even having this conversation? I mean, me asking you that is crazy, but I know you nearly for nearly a decade, Vass.
Yeah.
Do you feel that
do you mind putting those fixtures up again?
Of course, Nick.
Ricky, sorry.
Yeah.
Look, up until last week, I was fairly confident we wouldn't go down. Obviously, things changed now. We were 10 points in front of West Ham last week. Now we're 6. So it's obviously a concern, and you cannot deny that we are in relegation form and we are in a relegation battle. So those things are true. Crystal Palace's form is much worse than ours, thankfully. They got to play some pretty tough matches. So have West Ham. They've still got to play the likes of City and Liverpool and Arsenal and whoever else they got to play. Big games. So we've got a 6-point cushion on West Ham at the moment. As I said earlier, I think Tuesday night is critical. If we win on Tuesday night, then I personally do not believe that we'll go down, because I think we will pick up points in subsequent fixtures. Maybe not against Arsenal or wherever else we've got to go. I think we've got you keep moving it, mate. Liverpool away, that's the one I was thinking of.
Liverpool away.
But we've got Newcastle at home, Palace at home, Forest at home. Those 3 games are all must win. And I know our form's been shocking.
Yeah.
But blow me, something's got to give, right?
You'd like to think so. But again, I'll make those stats there, Marlon, come over to you. We've won 2 in the last 16, only one of our last 10 Premier League matches. Where are you, Marlon, firstly, with regards to Frank? Are you the same as Vass, that you still give him to the end of the season, barring a catastrophe? Or it's worth pointing out that we have got, I believe, a 12-day gap in between, of course, the Newcastle game to the Arsenal game. And I think the key thing is, well, everyone keeps saying, but who would you bring in? Who are you going to bring in? It wouldn't be a fact, like as I said, they would have been looking out there the last 2-3 months for somebody. What do you think, Marlon? By the fact, as I agree with Vass, there's been definitely small glimpses of maybe something forming. The reality is the stats are the stats and the facts are the facts. 2 wins in the last 16, only 1 win in our last 10 Premier League matches. And we faced 5 sides in the bottom half of that table during that period. I think that's why there's that concern. There is that worry, and why fans are genuinely worried that we talk about relegation. I mean, my worry would be if we are sucked into it. I've said this many times on here. I don't think we've got the bollocks to get out of it. Where are you, Marlon?
I think, so go back on your Thomas Frank question. I would rather he wouldn't be here, if I'm being completely honest, but I do believe that he's going to get to the end of the season. Unless there's a big, massive meltdown after the North London derby. I think I said to you guys in the green room, if he was to get smashed in that, they've got no choice. I think it would get too... There'd be no way out for Frank, especially twice in one season to get battered in 2 North London derbies. He needs to perform in that. So I think they'll give him till then at least to do something before they make a decision. But the problem you've got is we don't have a Michael Garrick or Fletcher or someone like that we can go to. Our guy right now is Ryan Mason, who just got sacked from West Brom. So, and his away record for them was, completely poor. So it's kind of, and he doesn't have the same players that he had the last 2 times he took over. This is, like we've all said, this is probably a worse squad. Now, I was thinking about this earlier, like, when was the last time we actually felt like this in the Premier League? It was probably 93, 94 under Aussie. And I think a lot of us older fans, yes, I can be included in that. I may not look young, but I do remember 93, 94. We went 2 months without winning a game, right? And we lost. And if everyone remembers this, because I remember going to football training and we had Swindon, who were bottom of the league, and we lost. And it weren't until I think we played Everton was the first win in 2 months.
But Miles, we're on course for that now. We haven't won a domestic game in 2020.
Yeah, and this is the thing, and this is when you look at it, this is what I'm saying. Like, when people go, this is the worst it's ever been. Actually, there's been a moment before where we've been typically in the same situation, and we got out of it. We did get out of it. Whether we can this time, I don't know. The problem we've got as well is that we've got Champions League football to be included in this, and it's such a contrast.
Such a crazy football club, isn't it?
To think that we finished 4th. 4th we finished, but yet the Premier League season is like completely going all over the place. So it's a weird one. It's a weird emotions to be going through right now, because I do believe we are in a relegation battle. No matter what people want to say, we are in one, because the fact that West Ham are picking up points is dragging us, Palace, Leeds and Forest into this conversation. And even Brighton, to a certain extent, they're not even safe from it if they don't start picking up points. And the problem is, at the moment, because it's so congested in that middle, a couple of wins could then take us into a European place.
The problem is everyone keeps saying it, Miles. Where can you see that couple of wins coming from? And I think, fair play to some of the viewers and listeners here. Jimmy Hotspur says here, we've had 4 home Premier League wins in 13 months. Who can think we'll win all the 3 home games? It would take some believing, and I totally get that. I understand 100% fans' concern on that.
I'm looking at the away games. If I'm being honest, I'm looking at the away games because that's where we've played better this season. Yes, you're going to look today.
But even, let's be honest about it, even the away form though recently has also deteriorated, hasn't it?
But we've picked up probably more. We're picking up more points on the away on the away, because we've got to remember we beat Palace away a couple of weeks ago. We didn't lose to Burnley away. It's just we seem to be picking up better points away from home than at home. So that, at the moment, that's what seems to be saving us. Yes, we've got to go to Anfield, which is going to be an absolute nightmare. But Fulham could be that game where you could go, depending on where Fulham are at the moment, we could generally might.
But
pick
again,
up
it's never
something there.
even Fulham away in recent years. It
Recent
hasn't
years,
been an easy game. It's not been an easy game for
It's not been
Tottenham.
easy, but the thing is, at home, the home games for me, they're write-offs. They
Yeah,
are complete write-offs because the stadium has not been our game-changing on the field experience as much
No.
as it has been off the field.
No.
Only in
and-
Europe.
yeah,
Yeah,
in Europe.
part of again Europe, and this is the whole biggest issue that we're having, and it's such a disappointing thing to. I thought I'd never experience 93 and 94 again,
Yeah,
but right now I seem to be in that situation. Apart from the European football, is probably just saving us from being in that, because I think a lot of fans who support Tottenham and watching the show, most of them wouldn't have experienced 93, 94.
No.
So
Can I
this is
just
going to
say
be the
on that,
worst for them.
on that 93-94, Marlon, which I do remember, one key injury we had that season was Teddy Sheringham, because he was
Yes.
banging in goals for us and he missed most of the season.
Missed most of the season.
And that was one injury. We got about 15 now.
And
Yeah, we
that's
have.
the thing.
Ridiculous.
and we don't,
Because
and
you
again, really important point. We don't know where Doggie's going to go. Go on, Marlon. Carry on, please. Finish your
But
point.
no, that was the thing, because you've seen the change how we've been changing since Solanke came back.
Yep.
And it's a weird situation to be in because he's actually brought some positivity going forward. But the question is right now, can he score the goals to get us out of this? Can Xavi Simons would, like as Vass says, we're talking about him in a different conversation now, because he seems to be getting better and better as the weeks go on. He seems to be key to what we're doing. Gallagher is finding his feet, but it's just where we are. And at this present moment, we need to start picking up results somewhere. And Newcastle has now become so important just for us and how this season's going to hit the outcome. Because we don't want to be talking about the R word on this show.
No.
That's one thing we don't want to be talking about.
I agree.
And at this present moment,
Yeah.
we have to, because the gap is so small. And the reason why I say it like that is because if Manchester City and Villa are still in a title race with Arsenal and they're like 6 or 9 points, then we're in a relegation battle.
Absolute fair point. I need to go to Russ. Before I just do, Marlon, just quickly for you, just on the point then, do you agree with Vass that Tuesday game against Newcastle United, an absolute must-win now, and again, Newcastle not in great form under Howe? Some fans want him out just a year after winning a trophy. Football fans.
Yeah.
We're a crazy bunch.
Out of all the games that we had this month,
Yeah.
I said, if we were going to pick up any points, because of Newcastle's form and the way it's been up and down, they've been quite terrible away from home. And the fact they lost today at home was quite unusual, and we got the draw against them. It was the only game I saw us picking up points in. Now I'm thinking if we have to pick up
Maybe we
points
should be
on
glad
this.
it's a midweek game, Marlon.
Yeah.
Well, you know, on that point, you have
Like
to
the
bear in mind.
European games.
Maybe they could play the Champions League beforehand, Russ. Maybe they could do that at Vass for us. That would do us a favour. Let's go to Russ, and we need to go for our next break. Russ, one thing that I'm being asked to make clear to you, TTID forever, 7416 says here, the goal difference makes it 7 points, Ricky. West Ham have yet to play. Villa, United, Arsenal and City keep the faith. And Stephen Crane says here, thanks, Stephen. Frank's not won a game when we've gone behind in the Premier League. So, again, there's a for, there's against there. Where are you, Russ, around this conversation and Frank and around relegation?
2 points. We say we just need a couple of wins. The trouble is we can't win a game in the Premier League at the minute.
No. Yeah.
So that is a concern.
Yeah.
The concern I have as far as the players go, well, there's two actually. The injuries, as we all know, are off the scale. There are 100 players just over in the Premier League at the moment.
I thought you were going to say 100 players out there, Russ. I thought, God, are you exaggerating?
No.
Feels like it.
and you know, if Xavi, excuse me, got injured, Mickey van der Ven had trouble with his hamstrings again.
Yeah.
You know, we are that close to being in, you know, playing staff wise in big trouble. So we've got to keep our fingers crossed. But the other point about the players is that I suspect that a lot of them think that Thomas Frank is a dead man walking. Even if he lasts till the end of the season, he isn't going to be here next season. And I think the mindset of players is if they know really the manager is going to go, it changes their whole receptiveness to the coaching, what they're told to do on the pitch. And I think that could be part of the problem as well. And, you know, they're only human beings, as we're always being told.
But at the moment, Russ, do you agree with the boys there in terms of the nature of that Tuesday game now? Is that a must-win, Russ? Are you panicking? Are you worrying about relegation right now? Or do you think by the fact 7 points on West Ham, you may be having ask West Ham to win 4 in the next 5 to be concerned. But are you concerned?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be easy
No.
against Newcastle. They've got a manager under pressure.
Yeah.
They can have their moments in games. They played a tremendous game at Liverpool, didn't they? Ended up losing.
Yeah.
They played okay tonight, ended up losing. Let's hope they play okay on Tuesday and end up losing.
Yeah.
I really hope that they do. We need to win. We do need to win. It's a big game. It's going to be very nervous in the stadium. I think.
We've got a makeshift defence as well, mate. We've got a makeshift defence,
Yeah, exactly.
Dragusin will be playing, his 3rd game since injury?
Yeah, he's come back.
We've got Archie Gray playing at right back again.
Yep.
We'll have the Brazilian kid at left back.
Yeah,
it's looking grim in defence at the moment, and that is the biggest concern.
Yes.
It's a good job we just had a January transfer window to sort all of that out. Yeah.
My goodness.
There goes the tumbleweed running past. Look, we're going to go for our final break of the show for our listeners and audio. Let's quickly hear from Guglielmo Vicario, who gives us his thoughts on the way that played out. And again, thanks so much, guys, to the over 12,500 suffering Spurs fans that are with us live. Make sure you do like, hype, subscribe to the show. Let's hear from Guglielmo Vicario on the back of that display at Old Trafford.
Winners at Old Trafford ended up 2-0. Looked very close for half an hour, and then obviously it changed.
Fortunately, it's changed. We got this red card that dragged us a little bit down, but I think in terms of character, spirit, what the boys have showed today to try to stay in the game and also to wait for the moment also we create on Xavi could have been, also the equalizer. And this is football, it's small margin. Today it was a little bit harder, of course, playing 10v11 for 75 and plus minutes. It's tough. So I think we need to bring with us into choose the game this resilience, this effort, this ability also to suffer, because of course playing 11-11 would have been for sure totally different game.
The players, your teammates, gave everything. 10 men, didn't they? I mean, we couldn't ask for more, really.
No, in terms of effort and mentality, and try to stay there, and then we cannot ask for more. We did everything, 100%, everyone. Also the boys that came in, they gave us support, they tried to change things, but then of course we conceded 2 and they had a lot of chances. It was tough. It was a tough game, and we knew it also before the game, and then playing with the man less is always harder. And but in terms of what we showed, I have to be proud of my teammates because they gave absolutely everything tonight, and we're gonna do it again on Tuesday evening.
Lots of noise in the away end as well. I mean, they stuck with us, didn't they, the fans?
Yeah, I think it's important, especially when the game goes in this direction. Yeah, it's important also. At the end, they were clapping us, and I know that it's the result. They didn't want the result we didn't aim at the beginning, but in terms of the spirit we put on the match today, it's important. And of course, football, you want to win every game. Sometimes you need also to understand also the quality of your opponents today. They had a lot of quality. Of course, dealing with this quality with 1 man less is tough. It's tough. But we have another opportunity now on Tuesday, so we cannot feel sorry for ourselves. We need to take some positive notes from this game and put it on Tuesday night against Newcastle.
So yeah, that was Guglielmo Vicario there on the back of that defeat to Manchester United. We're joined by broadcaster Russ Williams. We're joined by Vass over at the Dr. Tottenham podcast. Make sure you go and check them out. Feel sorry for Vass. I think he's got to go through this twice. So Vass, thank you so much for a double dose of Dr. Tottenham therapy. Aren't we lucky ones or unlucky ones, depending on how you feel it is at the moment? And we're joined by Marlon over at Spurs Kings. Guys, thanks so much always to the amazing loyal audience that we've got on here. I know we've had hundreds of questions that have come into the show. I want to let you into a little secret. Russ told me beforehand, we've got to answer the questions. Russ, thank you for doing that. We've answered a lot of questions. We'll try and squeeze in a couple before we go. Marlon, thank you as always.
Tell me, Rick. We love them.
We do. Listen, we're very lucky. Listen, we've got a very loyal audience that I know it's tricky times right now. Russ says to me, see you for 7:25 Groundhog Day again. It is, we all want to sit here and be a lot more positive than we are right now. And, I think we always try and bring a fairly balanced, panel assembled on last word on Spurs, but it is tricky when it is like many are suggesting. It's rinse and repeat. It's the same problems week after week, and there shows very little sign in terms of anything that's going to give you genuine confidence that it's going to get better in the long term. I think Vass said it in the show. There's been short-term glimpses of the fact of around Xavi's form, the fact that you are seeing certain players come to the fore like Solanke, but the long-term picture for Spurs right now feels very, very bleak. So listen, we appreciate you being here. We're not going to take you, obviously, for a whole game review because that would be unfair to everybody. But I think there's a couple of things that we do need to pick out just in general is obviously the concern around Destiny Udogie, who is going to be another one like the boys touched upon there before the break, added to Tottenham's ever-growing injury list, which I think, as we understand, going into the Newcastle game now, we're now up to 12 players potentially out injured, which is a concern. And obviously we'll get an update from Thomas Frank when he holds his press conference on Monday ahead of the game. And I think it's important to say Vicario and Frank have told TNT, he said it there, Romero apparently has apologised to the group, but Silva apologising. The action is a consequence, and now he misses 4 important games for Spurs coming up. And we started the game very, very well, like Vass said there. So just in terms of the game itself and how we started, we did start okay in that opening half an hour. We've already touched upon the Romero sending off for Tottenham, which will be his 3rd suspension of the season, 4-game ban. For those to bring a bit of context to it, he'll miss 6 games out of the 28 so far due to his conduct. And when he comes back, he'll be on 8 yellow cards as well. So almost guaranteed to get another 2 to 3 game ban before the season ends. I think Vass, you were making this point around leadership and players taking things now by the horns, essentially. How much are we going to need other players that are currently not injured to really step up and help this group? Because I think that I mentioned it in the earlier part of the show. If we do get dragged into some kind of a relegation battle, if some don't think we're there, do you worry, Vass, we've got the bollocks for this to try and handle the situation? I've got a lot of very inexperienced young players in this squad, Vass.
Yeah, and that's been a problem this season too. You know, we do have a young squad. A lot of people were bemoaning the fact that we might be signing Andy Robertson in the window, but maybe that's the kind of experience that we're missing. Gallagher's got experience, you know, Robertson's got experience. We didn't get Robertson over the line, fair enough. But yeah, the players are going to have to stand up for this and prove people wrong and to save their own reputations at the same time. You know, they're playing for Spurs. The last thing they want to do is get relegated with Spurs. That's going to be a stain on anyone's CV, right? Do we have the leaders? I don't know. Listen, Vicario gets a lot of stick, but whenever things are bad, he's the one that comes out and faces the media on behalf of the team. He fronts up to it. And I'll tell you what, there's a lot of stick going for Vicario in the comments at the moment as well, but he pulled off 4 or 5 top saves today.
Totally agree.
And you give the guy credit because if it wasn't for Vicario today,
would
that scoreline would have looked horrific.
Totally agree.
So, yeah, I think they will stand up for it. These injuries have not helped. The age of the squad is a factor. The injuries are most definitely a factor, as they were last season under Postecoglou, because what injuries do is they kill your momentum. And if momentum is key in football, and if you can't establish any momentum, it's hard. It becomes even harder. It's a high quality league. And you talk about player ability, and I might have mentioned this on this pod before, and you've probably heard it before, but the best ability is availability in any sport, right? And we don't have that. There is something fundamentally wrong with the way our players go down injured on an alarmingly regular basis. Something that has to be looked at. You get flipping MI5 in or something. Oh, I don't.
The thing is, though, Vass, we've changed the medical staff twice in the last 3 years. It's been an overhaul. They've just brought in their 9th, I think, staff recruit from Brentford since Frank Spinney. I think another physio's come and joined us this week. Maybe
that fancy new training ground that will keep going on about is cursed in some way, or there's something fundamentally wrong in the pitches that are crocking our players. I don't know. They go off training and then we hear that they're injured. They rarely get injured in a football match. They get injured in training these days.
Yeah, it definitely is something concerning, like you said there. The amount of injuries that we're getting and the nature of them, and I think many are asking this. I mean, Russ, I know you've got a lot of love for him. Dejan Kulusevski. I mean, where is he? You know, The updates are stopped. We have got no update of where he is, and at the moment,
Well,
it
there's
feels.
a knock originally, wasn't it?
Dragoshin, who was out of an ACL, has come back, played 2 games, probably played a third of the belts, like Vass is saying. But we don't know where Kulusevski is, and we're not even getting an update as to what's happening with him.
No, we're not. By the way, Destiny Udogie, they said what it is, the injury?
No, not yet.
It looked to me
not
like
yet.
it was a groin. He was touching his
Yeah.
groin. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
That's
Massively
not
concerning. Massively concerning. Look, I mean, like we said, Spurs had the first half an hour. We've already touched upon the red card. I think there's no doubt about it. We all feel it was a red card. So Romero leaves the field. I just want to ask you that question very quickly, Marlon, to ask you. Obviously, at that point in time, Frank decides to sacrifice Wilson Odobert for Radu Dragoshin, which I know many are suggesting out there, well, look, someone had to be sacrificed to allow him to bring on another centre-back. The question is, should it, Marlon, have been Wilson Odobert for you? Should he have been the man that was coming off the field, in your opinion?
I'm going to say by the way the game went, maybe. Because we kept ourselves in it. We needed Sarr in the middle, and it looks like we needed Gallagher in the middle. And Xavi was playing off the left. So you kind of have to look at it. It was either going to be Xavi or Odobert. Had to be one of the two. Because Paulinho was obviously playing in the middle too, and he didn't want to weaken that midfield. Because let's go back to last week against Manchester City, when we did have 2 players in there. We were weakened because we just didn't have enough energy and legs in that midfield. So it was a case of he had to pick one of the two. So look, whether he keeps Odobert on and we do get the goal, we don't know. At this present moment, we'll never know. But we'll see on Tuesday, because Odobert will play, and we'll see if he was going to make any difference or not. For me, I probably would have made the same substitution. I'm going to be honest.
Okay.
Well, I'm not saying it's the right substitution. I'm looking at it in the state of, because of Pape Sarr's legs and Gallagher's legs, and they were in the middle of the park. You don't really want to leave them up against Casemiro and Kobe Manu, and Fernandes. Those were the 3 that you kind of don't want to leave them up against, because we saw, very good players. And Casemiro, for some reason, since he's announced his retirement, has turned into Real Madrid Casemiro. So it's kind of like, I can see where Frank was coming from.
Yeah.
But I can see where people would be asking, why is Odobert not staying on the pitch? It had to be one. It's either, and if I'm looking at, if you want Pape Sarr to come off, you probably lose the legs in that middle of the park, and that's the bit where I think he was looking at, and I don't think he had a choice, if I'm being honest.
Okay, because I know many feel maybe again that was partly where the game does turn by not having Odobert to free flow, but at the same time, I think
I do agree because you can do that, but at the same time, you got to remember the first goal we let in today was a poor routine corner, which has nothing to do with Odobert coming off the pitch.
Well, Marlon, come on to that. Cover this off for us, this goal, because we, not for the first time this season, we were asleep from a corner. It's worked to Mbeumo on the edge of the box.
And Dragoshin went on the pitch long enough, and even he, you know how long you see him when that ball is struck, and he's literally turned his back to it, and he's holding it for a good 3 or 4 seconds. That is how slow the ball kind of went. It wasn't like it was a clean strike, and I felt sorry for Vicario, because Vicario, no matter what, what I've been saying in the last few months about him, he kept us in that game today. He was excellent. He caught everything that he was supposed to. He didn't parry it out. The goal wasn't the greatest goal to let in, but the way he must have seen it late. But for me, but for that first goal, it was shocking defending. But at the same time, I think if we have an extra man on the pitch, Mbeumo doesn't have that much time. I think someone is on the edge of that box, and that's where Romero's killed us in that situation right there.
Yeah. Just interestingly, Russ, we had a question in from Martin1485 on X, who says, if anybody saw in the earlier part of the season Frank's interview on Sky in relation to him being quite happy for players to take shots from the edge of the box, and then you look at the amount of goals Spurs have conceded, I'm astounded as to someone that many feel is such an intelligent head coach, how he has not seemed to come to the realisation of the amount of goals that we've conceded from outside the area. And he mentions the fact that Frank was talking about, if you shoot from a certain position outside the box, then the XG is less likely for you to score.
Really?
How many goals, Russ, have we conceded from outside the box this season?
A lot. I mean, you could argue if we had 11 on the pitch, would we have had a defender to stop Mbeumo doing that?
Fair point.
You know,
yeah.
But we didn't, did
Yeah.
we? You know,
No.
so that's that. And it was a training ground routine. And Michael Carrick, as soon as that ball went in, the camera went on him, and he's clapping his coaches.
Yeah.
Before he's jumping up and down on the touchline, because they've obviously planned it and it worked.
Yeah,
and
he said that after the game as well. I think Johnny Evans has become their
standing, apparently so. Yeah,
standing coach at the moment. Just on that point, Vass, coming to you. You know, I want to try and be as fair as I can on this show. And I know, Vass, you had these conversations last year. You know, if Ange got slated for set pieces last season, then how much accountability does Thomas Frank and his coaching staff need to take for the amount of goals that we've conceded from the edge of the box? Because it feels it's ridiculous that this is not being addressed. Is that a fair criticism, Vass, from how much you've watched Spurs this season, the amount of goals we've conceded from the edge of the box, outside the box, from distance? It doesn't appear that we seem to be working on finding a solution to this.
Look, you set up my set pieces a certain way. That does not absolve the players from responsibility in defending the edge of the box. I think some of this has got to be on the players, right? I mean, we've crowded the 6-yard area there. There's 3 Man United players on the edge of the box. There's only one yellow shirt that's sort of beyond the penalty spot, and he's right on the other side there. That's Xavi Simons.
Yep.
Yeah. Everybody else is picking up a man. I think there's 3 of them marking Maguire there for some reason.
Yeah.
So it doesn't take much for one of the players. And we've all done this when we played football, you know, pick him up, watch him on the edge of the box. There seems to be no communication there.
No.
Now, I don't know whether that's down to Frank because we want to, or his set piece coaches because we want to defend a zone as opposed to anything else. But blimey, come on. And I mean, some of the shots on the edge of the box. I mean, if you take the Arsenal game for example, we gifted Erbizriche, Eze, 3 of them from the same spot pretty much.
Yep.
The players have to take responsibility in some of these as well. It shouldn't be a thing.
I agree.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just understand how you have 9 outfield players back to defend a corner, and like you said there, Vass, none are defending the edge of the box or even the post. I mean, like Russ said, maybe it makes a difference if you had the extra man. Maybe someone would be on the post, but either way, you know, for a manager that's been accredited when he came in for being very good at set pieces, very adaptable, very flexible, changing inside game. And I can hear Jason saying, "I told you, Rick. I warned you, Rick."
But it happened in the return game against Man U at White Hart at Tottenham Stadium, where we went 2-1 up late on, and yet we managed to concede a goal from a corner in the 95th minute from De Ligt.
Yep.
Which we should have done far better with, right?
Yeah.
At West Ham, right? Another set piece goal right at the end of the game in injury time.
Yep.
Yeah. Bournemouth away, another very late goal from the edge of the box.
Yep.
Right. It's the same pattern over and over. It's either a set piece or it's the edge of the box. We're very rarely scored upon in any other way, it seems.
Well, that's the thing. It feels like we're actually quite timid and scared to shoot from outside the box, yet we're conceding so many this season from that exact same situation when it's against us. I mean, Marlon, you made the point, and it's right to make that point. Vicario makes a string of saves after the first goal goes in. That keeps the scoreline at bay. We then lose Destiny Udogie sitting to the bench. It looks like it's another injury. We're not sure what the situation is, but Souza comes on, and I think he had a promising debut, given the fact of what he was coming into, a bit of a makeshift defensive line. Again, he's had a cameo appearance there. Like Vass said, he's going to probably play at midweek against Newcastle United. So again, really thrown into action. There's yellow cards in there for João Palhinha and Frank in quick succession. But we make a triple change. We have Tel, Basuma, and Kolomowani replace Solanke, Palhinha, and Gallagher. But look, the damage is done. United score a second. Dello hits a deep cross on Fernandes, steers it in the far corner.
What a finish.
Yeah. Do you have any issues, Vass, about the way it's defended, or do you think down to 10, it was coming? What was your gauge on that for you?
No, I think that tiredness creeps in at that point, Ricky.
Yep.
And that goal had tiredness written all over it, sadly.
Yep.
The shame of it was it's just happened literally after Frank has made some substitutions.
Yep.
Players haven't quite got to grips with the changes, and Man United have exploited that. I mean, look at that picture there. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players. It's maybe 7 yellow shirts in and around that penalty area.
Yep.
And Man United have got 2 right in the middle of the box there. So we've got to be defending better. There's no doubt about it. But I think at that point, I think it was just tiredness. Really, just killed us. It was a wrong time straight after the substitutions as well. Didn't help.
Yeah. Look, I think we've discussed it here. It feels like a big week for Tottenham right coming up. I mean, we discussed the nature of that Newcastle game. Like we said, Russ, towards the start of the show, that feels like a massive game now, Newcastle, right? We've got potentially 12 players out injured. You've got potentially, as Vass said earlier, Radu Dragusin coming in for what will be, I think, his 3rd game he's featuring in a row, whether it's starting, whether it's playing. I mean, Newcastle aren't in the greatest run of form. We touched on it earlier, Russ. A massive week for the football club, right? Got to somehow come together and get a result against Newcastle United, Russ.
Huge, and we got to watch them on set pieces. They had a couple of pretty decent ones, dangerous ones against Brentford. They were at home, admittedly, but they'll do that. They've got a manager who's under pressure. The players, I think are playing for their managers still.
That's the key, isn't it, Russ? Just say that, Russ. That's key, isn't it?
I think it is a key.
He mentioned at his press conference the fact that we could have capitulated, we could have conceded 5, 6. Like we've seen other players under managers under pressure do. But to be fair, they didn't wilt. They did keep on playing. It was against 10. We had 10 men, so all the signs were maybe there for us to wilt. But the players did continue. Is that what's giving you a slight bit of hope, Russ, coming up?
Yeah, I mean, I think we'll win on Tuesday. I hope I haven't put the kibosh on it, but I do think that we will beat Newcastle. I think we really rather have to beat Newcastle, and I just don't want to see another interview with the manager or any of the players if we lose saying, we played pretty well in that game and I'm proud of the way the players play. If you lose, you can't be proud of the players, in my view. So let's hope he's proud of them. They perform well and we've beaten Newcastle, but it is a big game. Crowd will be jittery. The Geordies will be down, trains permitting, in their thousands in the away section. And, midweek under the lights, Premier League, got to get behind the team. It's as simple as that, because this losing, it just can't continue, this culture of losing, because it is going to end really badly if it does.
Yeah. Rush, you've been a star. Thank you so much. Enjoy your next couple of weeks.
Thanks for having me.
Couple of weeks off. I know it does.
It's the Arsenal game is the next one. Oh dear, I might go sick.
Can I come with you?
I think we'll be feeling sick, no doubt. Probably.
Been a pleasure, Rick, and great to be with you, lads. And thanks to all the listeners and viewers for watching. You do a great job. I don't know how you do it every night, Rick. Are you on some sort of tranquilizers?
If they are, they're slowly eating away at me. They might not look like it, but believe me, there'll just be an AI left of me after this, because this can't carry on, can it? It's got to get better. It's got to get better. Miles,
you can always WhatsApp me, mate.
Oh, bless you, you're a diamond. Miles, massive game now against Newcastle. You've said it. We don't know what our team's going to look like ahead of course, that game with regards to Udogie and the amount of injuries we're racking up. But I think fans have got a right to be genuinely concerned. I wouldn't be sitting here dismissing fans that are worried about relegation, because, as we've said during the show, it's relegation form. And we're losing the captain now of the club, whatever you think about him, for the next 4 games. So, again, there's more changes to be made. Although, try and keep faith, because Souza had a good debut. That's all I can really give you at the moment, Marlon. it's short straws. What can I say?
Look, I think for Souza today, I don't think for him, he was coming on probably one of the best stadiums in England that we've got. Wow.
Yeah.
When we class it as history, one of the best stadiums that we've got, and to make your debut at Old Trafford. But he's got to come to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on Tuesday. And all
I would say to you, the line that's been given us about him, obviously, of course, from the great Tim Vickery, is that he knows what a dogfight is like. He had one at Santos last season, so at least he's got the right mentality for a relegation battle. Yeah. He's been in one last season.
But I'm just thinking, when you think about what we're going to be up against, and including Elanga, I think Harvey Barnes is still around. I'm just slightly concerned now.
And also their record against Spurs in the last 4 or 5 years has been generally quite good. Yeah.
So I am slightly concerned for Tuesday, even though, but at the same time, it's kind of, we're about to find out what these players are made of, because that's
what's left of them. We are, about the 11 or 12 that's left of them. We are,
because I tell you now, if they were to say they don't pick up a result on Tuesday, you
are worried. You
are worried, and then you're coming up against what we think is the champions elect at the moment, and the team that we badly want to stop. And
agree.
For me at the moment, I'm just kind of looking at it going, there's not many positives to take from this season.
No,
look, not any of us. But maybe, just maybe, they can do something, because we need a result on Tuesday. We need a result, and if we like Vass said earlier, like if we see a performance, and I think that's been key in the last couple of weeks. We've seen performances. I think everyone was disappointed.
I think really important. Just caveat that very quickly. We've seen second half performances. We've
compared,
not seen
compared to October and November time. No, not October, November and December time.
We're getting 45 minutes.
Yeah,
we're getting 45 minutes.
Yeah, we were seeing nothing at that point.
We're taking crumbs at the moment, aren't we? We're taking crumbs.
We're taking what we can get, and I think that's what I mean. Like that's what I mean, because I'm not happy, but we're seeing something slightly a bit more positive than we were seeing in November and December. But look, I think because it's just a dogfight at the moment, we've just kind of got to go. For real, I'm at that point where I don't even know what to say anymore, because I'm just saying words and I don't even know if I believe them anymore. And that's the thing. That's where the club, this is where the players in the club have put. And it's not just, I think with the January transfer window, that was their time to shine. Now, from what I got from Lange's statement is, we're going to do it in the summer. Mate, we might not even be in the Premier League when it comes to the summer. So
this is why
you need to pick things.
This is why it's so important to focus on now rather than the summer.
You've got to do now. You can't be thinking. And he used my excuse, which was terrible, where he said there's only been 33 transfers. Well, there should have been 34, 35, 36 if you got your finger out. Right?
Marlon,
we should be relying on Souza. That's the bit for me. We shouldn't be having a guy 18 coming from Brazil, not even sure if he can speak the language. Because I don't think if anyone saw this, but when Udogie got injured, did you see Simmons' reaction? That for me said it all. Said it completely all. But as you say, thank you to the audience. You've been brilliant. Thank you to Vass and Russ and Ricky. You're a star, mate.
No, listen, mate. Thank you very much. Vass, close us quite literally the way things are. Because you've got to go through it twice and we're not at Tottenham. It's going to be tough.
Yeah, actually, I won't be on the show tomorrow, but do please join us, whoever wants to. It's we do put on a decent show. The one thing I will say, just following on from what the fellas have said,
go for it,
is I know there's a lot of people watching this and listening to this, and if you're going to be there on Tuesday night, please get behind the team.
Great point.
From the off.
Yep.
And stay behind the team no matter how it goes. I know it's hard. Spurs fans are quite reactionary. We only really get going when we see a spark on the pitch, or there's something we need something to ignite us. But whatever you do, please just get behind the team on Tuesday. It's a must-win game. Let's hope that we can come up with 3 points, and hopefully Russ is right on that. I'll pray that we do, and it's maybe a turning point. Other than that, listen, it's difficult times. There's no doubt about it. We have had a season and a half of being, it's been tough being a Spurs fan.
Very tough.
Put it that way.
Yeah.
But listen, we just got to get through this period now, and that's the most important thing. But thanks for having me on again.
Pleasure.
Rick. Always a pleasure to join you.
Listen.
And it's becoming a regular team up with Marlon and Russ, and I'm grateful for that. So good on you, fellas. And hopefully next time.
You're a star, Vass. Thank you so much. Make sure you go check out the Tottenham podcast. They will be with you on Sunday, and then there'll be your Monday morning listen to on the commute, where I think those famous words from Ange, every time you see a light, it's like another oncoming train that is coming. Let's hope we've got a 12 or 11 to field for Newcastle, because it looks like it's tough times. Very important there from Vass to close us. Anybody that is going to be at that Newcastle game, I think we're at a point now where, look, everyone's angry, they're frustrated. Because of, like Russ at the start of the show, so many issues around board, people at the recruitment level, the playing staff, the injuries. But I think right now, let's just make sure we're a Premier League team. And even I can't believe I'm saying those words that I never thought I'd have to say on Last One on Spurs. Crazy, crazy where we're at as a football club right now. Marlon, thank you so much. Russ, thank you so much. Vass, thank you so much. Thank you to the over 12,500 that have been joining us here. Thank you for your support. Please keep safe, keep well. And as always, come on, you Spurs.